Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the next lesson. This one is called The Big Picture. And it comes again from a book called The Big Picture. And The Big Picture is by a man named Dennis Littke. Now, Littke is spelled L-I-T-T-K-Y. Dennis Littke. The name of the book is The Big Picture. I love this book. This is a book about education. And Mr. Littke is an extremely interesting guy. He is just a fantastic teacher, a fantastic educator. Mr. Littke used to be a teacher, and then he became a principal of a middle school. Actually, I think he started as a principal of an elementary school and then later a middle school. Public school, just a normal public government school. Well, he created an incredible school at his first school. Just an amazing school. There were articles written about his school. It just became so famous because this school had a lot of low-income students. Students from poor families. So this was not in some rich neighborhood with a lot of money. And before Mr. Littke became the principal, the school was having a lot of problems. But he came in and he changed everything. He changed the teachers. He hired only passionate, excited, energetic teachers. But not only that, he changed the whole system. He stopped focusing on testing. He stopped focusing on grades. He focused on the students as human beings. He wanted his students to grow as people, not just to memorize a bunch of facts, but to really learn how to think, and even more importantly, how to use their thinking and use their knowledge. So, for example, most of his classes were project-based. In other words, the students did not study textbooks and take tests. No. What they did is they created a project. And each project was individual. Each student chose a project or projects based on their own interests. And of course, the teachers helped to guide these projects and structure them. So for example, if one child really loved dinosaurs, they would create a project about dinosaurs. The teachers, the math teachers, the science teachers, etc., the English teachers, would help that student learn math, learn science, learn English, learn history, learn everything, all focused on dinosaurs because this kid loved dinosaurs. So they would use, dinosaurs to teach math, for example. Maybe they had to learn how to calculate the size of a dinosaur's bones or something. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they used the students' individual passions to teach. And the students had to do these incredibly amazing, huge, difficult projects. These were not easy. They were really tough. But the kids were very passionate about what they were doing. And another thing that Dennis Littke did, he involved the community. His school had mentors, advisors, helpers from the community, parents, especially parents, but also experts. So for example, if a kid really loved dinosaurs, or maybe a whole class was really interested in dinosaurs, they brought experts from museums, from universities to teach these kids very advanced stuff about dinosaurs, including math and science, everything. And so the kids were so excited. They learned to love learning again. They became passionate about learning. No more bullshit tests. At the end of their big projects, they had to give demonstrations, presentations. This is what happens in the real world, right? If you're at a job, you don't take a test, A, B, C, D. What you usually do is you have some project at your job, And when you finish the project, you present the project to your customers or to your boss or to somebody. You stand up, or in writing, you have to present. Here's what I did. Here were the results. Well, that's what the kids do. In front of all the class, including parents, they stand up and they give these long demonstrations, exhibitions, presentations. And that's how they're graded. It's based on their presentations, based on what they learned. Not some stupid test. The most powerful thing about this is, here, guess what? These students still had to take certain tests. The government said they must take them. His students were fantastic on the tests. They never took tests during their normal school time. They never focused on the tests. They never prepared for the tests. But what happened is these kids learned to love learning. They learned so much more with his methods. And his school became the top school in the state on the tests. Even on the tests. Interesting. Whereas the other schools that were focused on the test all the time, textbooks and tests, they actually performed less well even on the tests. What's even worse is the normal schools. Not only did they do worse on the tests, the kids were bored. They didn't like learning. The teachers had no energy. They were bored. It's just amazing. Now, even better, here's what Dennis Littke did after that. He decided he still couldn't do everything he wanted to do at a public school. So he created his own schools. They're called the MET schools, M-E-T. And these MET schools are private schools. However, they are not private schools for rich people. In fact, most of the students are poor, not rich. But they're still very tough. They don't accept everybody. They have to interview to get into this school. Every student has to interview to get into the school. They have to talk about their passions. They have to talk about why they want to join the school. There has to be some motivation for the students and the parents. The parents also have to interview. It's not about money, it's about passion. And these schools are absolutely fantastic. They're probably the best schools in the United States. He's got a high school and a middle school. I don't know, I think he has an elementary school too. I don't know. They've got different schools around the country now. I'm not sure how many. He's got a website. Do a search for Dennis Littke or for The Big Picture, and you can read more about it. So anyway, in his book, he writes a little bit about learning. It's a fantastic book. If you're a teacher or if you're a parent, I highly recommend this book. Let me read a little bit from the book. Here we go. Real learning is not memorizing knowledge. It's understanding and knowing how to use and find knowledge. Learning is what you do with knowledge, how you integrate it, how you talk to your family, friends, and classmates about it. That's what learning is. As noted psychology and education expert Seymour Saracen reminded me recently, it's similar to psychologists' belief that patients don't get better during their therapy, but between their therapy times. Students, likewise, don't learn so much during class as they do between classes. That's where the real learning happens. Now, I'm not suggesting we throw out everything schools do now, but I'm suggesting that we look more deeply at what we define as learning. I'm suggesting we be honest and try different things and see what works. Learning is about learning how to think. My new friend, Tom Magliozzi, from National Public Radio's popular car talk show, has a lot to say about what learning really is. One of my favorite parts of his book is when Tom, a man with a PhD in chemical engineering from MIT, says this. It seems to me that schools primarily teach kids how to take tests, which is a skill that one hardly uses in real life, unless one is a contestant on a quiz show. Elementary school prepares kids for junior high. Junior high prepares them for high school. High school prepares them for university. University prepares them for graduate school. So the goal of schools, if we can call it that, is simply to prepare kids for more school. Okay, so interesting, huh? Very nice. I love that section of his book. I love his whole book. But he's absolutely right. The traditional schools you went to when you learned English in middle school or high school or university, they were the same. They were not preparing you for life. They were not teaching you how to learn. They were certainly not helping your passion. They were not increasing your passion for learning. Probably they were killing your passion for learning. All that schools were really doing were preparing you for more school. They were preparing you to take tests. Guess what? When you leave school, do you take many tests? At your job right now, do you take tests every day, every week? Do they give you a test? Choose A, B, C, D? And your boss gives you a grade. Oh, congratulations, you got a 90% on your test. Here's more money for your job. Of course not. School is sort of a bullshit environment that is only appropriate for school. That's why we have so many bored students. That's why students hate school. It's not because of the internet. It's not because of TV. It's because kids are smart. Maybe they're smarter now today. I don't know. Kids are smart. They know that what's happening in school is bullshit. They know their classes are bullshit. They know their teachers are also full of shit. I mean, I figured that out when I was in middle school, I think. I was a slow learner. It took me a long time to figure it out. A lot of smart kids today, they figure it out when they're, in first grade or they're really young. But it's true, what you learn in school. How much of what you learned in school do you actually use now? I'm glad I learned to read. I'm glad I learned basic math. Other than that, most of what I find useful in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, in terms of abilities, I learned by myself. I learned because I love learning, because I have read so many books outside of school. And I have met so many great teachers outside of school. That's where all my incredible learning has happened, not in school. So it's just terrible what we're doing with education. It's all over the world. It's in the United States. It's horrible. I taught in public schools in Japan. They are terrible. They're terrible in Thailand. They're terrible in Europe. They're terrible everywhere. Because they're focused on tests. They're focused on preparing kids for more school. And then you get out in the real world. You get out in the world of jobs. And suddenly you have to do something completely different. Suddenly you have to actually perform. You actually have to do things. You have to communicate. You have to have good relations with other people. You have to learn by yourself. You have to do research. You have to find the knowledge. And you have to have, most of all, some kind of energy and passion and leadership. That's what success is in the real world. That's what gives you success in the real world. In school, those things get punished. Passion in school, that's usually the kid who's getting in trouble all the time. The kid who has too much energy. The kid who has too much passion. Right? The kid who asks too many questions. They get in trouble. The kids who sit there quietly, bored, doing what they're told, they do well in school, they do very badly in the real world. So Dennis Litke is saying, we've got to change our schools. We're not living in the 19th century anymore. We're not living in the 20th century anymore. We're not preparing kids for factories now. We need kids and adults to be able to think creatively, imaginatively. We need people who can communicate, who can stand up in front of a group and communicate with intelligence and passion. People who can create things, people who can build teams, people who know how to find knowledge. You don't need to memorize it. You just need to be able to find it. Albert Einstein talked a lot about that. He said intelligence is being able to find knowledge, knowing how to find it, not memorizing it. For example, phone numbers. You don't need to memorize the phone book. You just need to know how to use it. And the internet is a great tool for that. We don't have to memorize all these facts. If I want to know a fact from U.S. history, I don't need to memorize it. I can just get on the internet and find it. When was the American Declaration of Independence signed? What exact day? Well, we all learned that in school, and so of course we all know that. But if I didn't know it, I could get on the internet. I could find it in about 30 seconds. You could, even if you're from any country in the world, you never learned that. Very easy for you to find that information. So what we have to be doing is learning how to find facts, not trying to memorize them. That's why we have computers. What we have to focus on is learning how to use our brains, learning how to learn, learning how to find knowledge, learning how our brains work. That's what we really need to do. That's true learning. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do at Effortless English for you, adult learners. Most of you, unfortunately, have been through a lot of bad school experiences. You've been through these horrible schools. Well, I'm trying to destroy those experiences. I'm trying to give you something completely new and different. I am trying to awaken your passion for learning again. That is my mission. That's why I'm yelling. That's why I jump around. That's why I have so much energy in my voice. That's why I tell these crazy stories. It's because I'm trying to wake you up. Wake up. Learning is incredible. It's not school. It's not that bullshit. Learning is what you are naturally programmed to do. It's what your brain wants to do. Your soul wants to learn. So I hope I'm doing a good job. I'm sorry to be yelling all the time, but I hope I'm doing that. I hope I am waking up your desire, your love for learning. All right. I will see you next time. On to the vocabulary lesson. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the vocabulary lesson for the big picture. I've got some good news. This is a pretty easy article, so the vocabulary lesson is quite short. Yay! Let's start it. Our first word is memorize. Dennis said, real learning is not memorizing knowledge. Real learning is knowing how to use and find knowledge or facts. To memorize means to remember. It really means to force yourself to remember. Force to remember. Make yourself remember. Force yourself to remember. That's memorizing. For example, you have a word list and you want to memorize the meaning of each word. So you repeat it again and again, again and again and again. Memorize means remember. Memorize means remember. Memorize means remember. Memorize means remember. Force to remember. Force to remember. Force to remember. Force to remember. Memorize means force to remember. Memorize means force to remember. Okay? That's the memorization technique. Memorization is the noun. You are memorizing the meaning. Just repeating again, 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 again. You are memorizing the word and its meaning. So we don't memorize here. Do not do that. Just listen to the vocabulary. Don't try to study it. Okay, we don't study at Effortless English. We listen and we enjoy. That's all. So you listen to the vocabulary a few times, and then you listen to the other lessons. The other lessons are the most important. Don't try to memorize. Don't force yourself to remember. It'll happen. You will remember automatically with our method. Don't worry. Our next word is integrate. Dennis says, real learning is knowing how to integrate knowledge and use it. To integrate means to mix or combine or merge. It means you're putting things together, mixing. So to integrate means to mix. And what it means is, it means you learn something new. It's not enough. You have to combine it. You have to mix it with everything you already know, right? You already know a lot of things. Then you learn something new. You have to combine the new thing with the old knowledge. You're mixing them together. You're seeing how they go together. You see how they fit together, how they integrate, how they mix. So integrate has this idea of mixing and combining, putting things together in a useful way. So to integrate, put together, mix together in a useful way, in an effective way. That's integrate. Our next word is noted. Noted. He says, as noted psychology expert Seymour Saracen said, and then he tells you what he said. Noted psychology expert. So Seymour Saracen is a noted psychology expert. Well, noted just means famous. That's all it means. Noted means famous or well-known. And it also has this idea of skillful, someone who is good at what they do. So it's not famous. It's not like a movie star famous, like everybody knows them. That's not noted. Noted means famous because they're good at something. So Seymour Saracen is a very good psychologist. So Seymour Saracen is a famous psychologist. Not in all of the world, but psychology people, they know this person. So again, noted has this idea of being famous and also has an idea of being an expert. So he's actually kind of repeating himself. He says noted psychology expert. So noted also has this idea of being an expert. You're famous because you're an expert. All right, our next word is therapy. Therapy. So Seymour Saracen said that patients don't get better during therapy. They get better between therapy sessions, therapy times. Therapy just means a cure. It's a healing treatment, a healing action. So for psychologists, right, they sit and they talk to the patient. The patient is depressed, for example, feels very sad. The psychologist talks to the patient, helps the patient feel better. That's therapy. That process is therapy. It's a cure. It's a healing treatment. The psychologist is trying to heal, trying to cure the patient. And the process, the action of doing that is called therapy. Therapy. So the psychologists, they believe that actually the patients get better between the therapies. It's not the time that they sit and talk. It's after. After the patient thinks about it, and after the patient changes their behavior, and after the patient changes their beliefs, changes their ideas. So that's when most of the learning is really happening for the patient, not during the time they talk to the psychologists. So he's comparing this to school. He's saying that it's the same for students. Students actually learn more outside class than they do inside the class. Our next word is primarily. Primarily. So this is the quote from Tom Magliozzi. He's talking about what do schools do? Schools just prepare you for more schools. He says, it seems to me that schools primarily teach kids how to take tests. Primarily means firstly or mostly. It really has this idea of mostly. It's what they mostly do. Mostly, primarily, schools teach kids how to take tests. And adults too. So they mostly teach kids and adults how to take tests. They primarily teach kids and adults how to take tests. So again, primarily means mostly or firstly. And finally, our last word for the vocabulary lesson this time, contestant. Contestant. Contestant, he says that taking tests is a skill that no one uses unless they are a contestant on a quiz show. A quiz show is a game show, like a TV show where you take a test and then you win some money. So that's the only time we take tests when we're adults. In the real world, we almost never take tests. Only in school, only for school do we do it. So a contestant on a quiz show, a contestant on a game show. Contestant means player. Someone who's playing on the show. Or participant. Someone who is participating on the show. So contestant means participant or player or competitor. So again, contestant means player or participant or competitor. They're all similar meanings. So the only people who need the skill of taking tests, the only time that skill is useful is if you are a player, a contestant on a game show, on a quiz show. And of course, that's not many people. He's kind of joking. It's a joke. Alrighty. Well, that's the end of the vocabulary lesson for the big picture. Let's keep going on to the mini story. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the mini story lesson for the big picture. Let's start right now. Athena was the most famous dog in the world. Who was the most famous dog in the world? Athena. Athena was the most famous dog in the world. Was she the most famous dog in the world? Or was she the most famous cat in the world? Of course, Athena was the most famous dog in the world. Where was she the most famous dog? In the world, in all of the world. She was the most famous dog in all of the world. Why was she so famous? Well, I'll tell you. First, Athena memorized 92,000 songs and played them all on the piano. How many songs did Athena memorize? She memorized 92,000 songs. Did she memorize 97,000 songs? No, she didn't. She didn't memorize 97,000 songs. She memorized 92,000 songs. How many did she memorize? 92,000. She memorized 92,000 songs. What did she memorize? Songs. She memorized songs. And how did she play the songs? On what? On the piano. She played 92,000 songs on the piano. Who memorized 92,000 songs? Well, of course, Athena, the most famous dog in the world, memorized 92,000 songs and played them all on the piano. Amazing. So she memorized 92,000 songs and played them on the piano. That's amazing. But there's more. Athena also learned the guitar too. And she integrated the guitar with the piano. She played every song on both the piano and the guitar at the same time. What did she also learn? The guitar. She also learned to play the guitar. Could Athena play 92,000 songs on the guitar? Yes, she could. She could play 92,000 songs on the guitar, and she could play 92,000 songs on the piano. In fact, she integrated the guitar with the piano. She played both at the same time. Did she combine the guitar with the piano? Yes, she did. She mixed them. She combined them. She did both together. She integrated her guitar skill and her piano skill. She put them together. She mixed them in a useful way. What did Athena integrate? She integrated her guitar playing with her piano playing. Did she integrate her guitar playing with her car driving? No. She did not. In fact, she never played the guitar while driving. It's too dangerous. She integrated her guitar with piano playing. She played her guitar and the piano at the same time. She integrated these two skills. Who integrated the guitar with the piano? Athena. Athena integrated the guitar with the piano. She integrated guitar playing with piano playing. She could play both at the same time, with different legs, of course. 2 legs on the piano, 2 legs on the guitar. But that's not all. There's more. Athena was one amazing dog. Because next, she became a contestant in boxing matches. She could fight. She was a tough dog. Did she become a contestant, a competitor, a player in boxing matches or in basketball games? Well, in boxing matches. She became a contestant in boxing matches. What kind of matches? And a match is just like a fight. A match is a fight. So in boxing, fights. She became a contestant in boxing fights. She became a contestant in boxing matches. Was she a contestant in boxing matches? Yes, she was. What was she a contestant in? Boxing matches. She was a contestant in boxing matches. What kind of matches, what kind of fights was she a contestant in? Boxing. Boxing matches, fighting matches. So, she was a contestant in boxing matches, and she won every fight. She beat everyone that she fought. How many fights did Athena win? Well, she won every fight. In fact, she won 6,022 fights. Athena won 6,022 boxing matches. 6,022 fights. She beat every single person she fought. She was a contestant in 6,022 boxing matches, and she won all 6,022. Amazing! What an amazing dog! But there's still more. Athena got a little bored. She could play the piano and the guitar at the same time. She was fighting and beating everybody. Yeah, I need something new. So next, she decided to learn languages. She learned 55 languages perfectly. Athena became a noted linguist. Did she become an expert linguist, an expert language learner? Yes, she did. She became a noted linguist, a famous expert linguist. What kind of linguist was she? She was a noted linguist, a famous expert linguist. How many languages could Athena speak perfectly? 55. Athena could speak 55 languages perfectly. She was a noted linguist. Who was a noted linguist? Athena. Athena was a noted linguist. Was she a noted piano player? Well, yes, in fact, she was. She was also a noted piano player. She was a noted fighter. She was a noted guitar player, and now a noted linguist, too. Why was she a noted linguist? Well, of course, because she could speak 55 languages perfectly. That's why she was a noted linguist. Well, finally, Athena became a little bored again. And she thought, what can I do next? What can I do next? She decided to become the president of the United Nations. And she did. Athena next became the president of the UN, the president of the United Nations. Who became the president of the United Nations? Athena. Athena the dog, the most famous dog in the world. She became the most famous president of the United Nations because she ended all wars in all of the world. Athena ended all wars. What did she do? She ended all wars on earth. Who ended all wars on earth? Athena. Athena ended all wars on earth forever. She was the most famous president of the UN. She ended all wars on earth. She memorized 92,000 songs and played them on the piano. She played them on the guitar. She won 6,022 boxing matches. She spoke 55 languages perfectly. She was the most famous dog in all of the world. Now, of course, because she ended all wars, everyone in the world was happy. They all loved Athena, the most famous dog in the world. All right, that is the end of the mini story for the big picture. Listen to the mini story many times. Pause after every question. Shout your answers if you can. If you're alone or if you don't care, if people think you're crazy, shout the answer. If you're in a train and you don't want people to think you're crazy, then maybe kind of say it quietly. But say something, right? Let the air come out of your mouth. Don't just think it. You need to say the answers. It's very important. Okay, well, I'll see you next time for the Point of View stories. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome to the Point of View stories for the Big Picture. Let's get started. Same story about that amazing dog, Athena. Well, since she was a puppy, Athena has wanted to be the most famous dog in the world. It started when she was a puppy. Now, of course, a puppy is a baby dog. We don't say baby dog, we say puppy. So since she was a baby, since she was a puppy, Athena has wanted to be the most famous dog in the world. She wanted that. When she was young, she would think about it. In fact, she has been memorizing songs since she was a puppy. She has been memorizing songs since she was a puppy. She started when she was a puppy. She has been memorizing songs since she was a puppy. Now, she knows 92,000 songs, but she has been memorizing songs one by one since she was a puppy. She has been practicing the piano since she was a puppy. It took time, right? She had to practice a long time. So she has been practicing the piano. She started when she was a puppy. She continued until now. She still practices the piano every day. So she has been practicing the piano since she was a puppy. And she has been practicing the guitar since she was a little older, but still a long time. So she has been practicing the piano since she was a puppy. She has been practicing the guitar for a long time. For many years. Starting many years ago, continuing until recently. She has been practicing fighting for a long time. For many years, she has been training and practicing. It didn't happen suddenly, one day. No. She has been practicing boxing for a long time, for many years. She has been going to the boxing gym. She has been practicing. And then finally, of course, she started to beat other fighters. And finally, she beat 6,022 boxers, 6,022 fighters. She beat them all. And finally, she has been learning languages only a couple years, actually. 2 years ago, she started. So since 2 years ago, she has been learning languages. In that time, she has learned 55. In only 2 years, she has learned 55 languages. Wow. Amazing doggy. Finally, just last year, she became the president of the United Nations. And 1 month later, she ended all wars on Earth. Everyone was happy. Everyone loved Athena the dog. Athena became the most famous dog in the world. Okay, that is the end of our first point of view story. That one didn't change until almost to the end. Interesting. You don't need to know why consciously. Just listen carefully. Notice. That's all you need to do. Relax and notice. Our next one, into the future. I'm going to imagine this special doggy. This is going to happen in the future. It hasn't happened yet. This will happen in the future. Maybe in 100 years. When dogs can all talk. Because in 100 years, dogs will all be able to talk, of course. Well, let's start. In 100 years, 100 years from now, there will be a special dog. Her name will be Athena. Athena will be the most famous dog in the world. Why? Well, because, first, she's going to memorize 92,000 songs, and she's going to play them all on the piano perfectly. That's not all. She'll also learn the guitar, too. She'll integrate the guitar with the piano. She's going to integrate the guitar with the piano and play them both at the same time. All 92,000 songs perfectly. That's not all. She'll also become a contestant in boxing matches. Not a normal contestant. She's gonna kick ass. To kick ass means to do a great job. It means to beat other people or to win or to just do a fantastic job. So Athena is going to become an amazing contestant in boxing matches. She will win 6,022 boxing matches. She's going to win all of them. But there's more. She's also going to learn 55 languages perfectly. She'll become a noted linguist. Who will become a noted linguist? Athena. Athena will become a noted linguist. Now, did you hear that? Athena-ul. Sometimes it's really hard to hear sometimes. I'll say it again. Athena will become a noted linguist. She will become a noted linguist, a famous linguist. But that's not all. Finally, she's going to become the president of the United Nations. She'll become the president of the UN. And she will end all wars on Earth. Everyone will be happy. Everyone will love Athena. And of course, she will be the most famous dog in the world. And that is the end of the Point of View stories for The Big Picture. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.